Guys in the secondary getting their eyes on the ball, seeing it in the air, and getting the pressure and the stops. I mean, what more could you ask for your defense than the kind of performance they put out there today?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in on this Monday, the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football. I'm Dennis Fithian. Coming up, we'll talk to the coach, Jim Scarcelli. He'll have some film analysis. We'll have some fun talking about Michigan. And right now, it's a lot of fun talking about Michigan. You just heard from their head coach, Jim Harbaugh, on his In the Trenches podcast. And I'd say, let's not panic. Let's not get too worried. The Colts fire Frank Reich. First thing I do when I log on to Twitter, I got a bunch of people across the country saying, Jim Harbaugh to the Colts, so that's going to be there. You have some success and you're going to have people talking about your coach, take it off to the NFL. But, look, Michigan shuts out Rutgers in the second half. They put up 38 points on the Scarlet Knights in the second half, and they cruise after all those touchdowns, picks, and pick six, and it just kept happening for them. The defense stepping up, which is something that is happened all throughout the Big Ten season. When you look at Michigan, whatever they do, whatever they eat, drink, say, coach, they come out in the second half, and they are a different team, and it's been impressive. They're now 9-0, number 3 team in the country in the top 25. And I don't think Michigan's played its best game. Yeah, they played pretty well against Penn State. They gave up those 2 big plays in the first half, so that was pretty close. That was their best game, but they can still play better. I think that's the good news if you're a Michigan fan. There's a lot of good news, but that's the good news. They haven't played their best game, and they can play better. We've talked about some of those little things that they can do a little bit more to take on, like a team that looked really good this week, like Georgia. Georgia looked great against Tennessee between the hedges, and I would like to see Michigan play Georgia this year in the college football title game. Let's see if Michigan could get to the college football title game and take on Georgia and see how they would fare against the Dogs this time instead of the semifinal. Let's see how they would play against the Dogs in the college football title game. 2 things really quick. Both of them have to do with some coaches, and one of them has to do with Jim Harbaugh. He was asked about the tunnel, if there's been any resolution, like the Big Ten's looking at it, lawsuits, whatever else. And he said maybe this week. And then Mel Tucker, that's the second part. I was just looking at some of the reporters tweeting out what Tucker was saying, and the coach in East Lansing was saying it could go all the way up to game time with the 8 men out there. So I don't know, something to keep an eye on, a little bit of a breaking news when it comes down to it. And if that's something that interests you and you're waiting for some resolution there. All right, let's get to Scar. I do want to tell everybody that we've got something for the Uber Michigan fan. 50% off your first year for the Maize and Blue Review. Go to michigan.rivals.com. You get full access today. Promo code MBR1year. That's MBR1year. You get full access today, which, is nice. And here he is, Jim Scarcelli. Scar, how are you?
Denny, we're all fired up. We got an undefeated football team. We got some good stuff to look at in the Rutgers game. A lot of good things. A lot of players made good plays, and coaches made some adjustments, and we are moving forward.
Yeah, it was a heck of a week for Michigan. What are we talking about specifically? Well, we are going to hit on a couple other games. You got Nebraska coming up. Ohio State struggled with their game against Northwestern. Scar's pick of the week. He's as good as anybody in the world at giving a lock of the week. We'll have some film breakdown with the coach as well. We'll start talking about Michigan And Rutgers, the game that was played over the weekend, 52-17. Michigan wins it. And Scar, this was one we talked in the postgame, but pretty tight game at the half. But as Michigan has done here in Big Ten play, they've had some close games at the half, and then they come out and whatever they do, they are energized and they play great in the second half.
Yeah, that's a sign of coaching. There are some guys that just get it from a coaching adjustment standpoint. When teams are giving you problems and you make adjustments, that's the sign of a good coaching staff that looks at things and say, we're not going to let you keep beating us with this. And we did the same thing on offense. We made a couple tweaks to get our run game going, but the big thing was the turnovers on their part, which, that was a problem for them. But one of the turnovers was a direct result of an adjustment we made defensively. So a lot of good things from that standpoint, having the ability to adjust.
What'd you think? You mentioned something that sometimes the camera pans over to the sideline. You see Jim Harbaugh over there. Is he the same Harbaugh field general that you've seen all year long, or his tenure here, or something a little bit different? What did you notice there?
Well, a friend of mine who listens and watches us every week, and he said, how come Harbaugh doesn't get after his assistant coaches like Saban? How come he doesn't yell at his assistant coaches, or he doesn't seem to get in? He doesn't really seem to interact that much with players like other coaches. And I said, I've been a player, a position coach, a coordinator, and a head coach at the high school level. But I think it's just like, Denny, it's just like any line of work. You can't micromanage your assistant coaches. So my response to my buddy was, listen, I think Jim delegates to his assistant coaches. He lets them coach. If there's a player that needs correction, needs motivation, let your assistant coach handle it. That's not up for the head coach to oversee all those decisions. It's just like any line of work we're all in. We don't want to be micromanaged by our boss. So I think that's the approach he takes. I used to watch Bo on the sideline, and I saw him rip assistant coaches a couple times, but you never would have known it, on the television cameras. It was discreetly, but he got into the face of a couple assistant coaches at times, but no one would have known it outside of the guys on the sideline. He wasn't looking to embarrass them. And so I think that's Jim's thing. Let's not embarrass a player. Let's not embarrass an assistant coach. Let those guys coach. I'll deal with you after the game, and we'll get things figured out. But I kind of like, and that's kind of the same approach I took as a head coach. Was, I always wanted to let my assistants. I better hear you talking to the player though, okay? Because if I don't hear you talking to them and making the correction, then I'm gonna have to micromanage. So if you don't want me micromanaging, deal with your players.
Yeah, for me, I think Harbaugh really set himself up for criticism this year if things didn't work out offensively or defensively, and it looked like it was coaching or play calling, because he's got the co-defensive coordinators and co-offensive coordinators. Remember when Joel Klatt came in there and really wanted to know, it's like, look, somebody's got to make the final call. And these guys were like, no, it's collaborative. We're not telling you exactly how it goes. And if Michigan lost the game, believe me, everybody would be coming out and saying, well, what the heck? Who's calling the plays? Is it Harbaugh overruling? You got too many cooks in the kitchen. And yet you don't hear any of that because they're winning. They're making adjustments. They're coming out in the second half. So if he's able to take this through and, have this kind of spectacular season that he had last year, maybe some other coaches going, man, what did Harbaugh really do there with all these different, co-coordinators and everything else? Is this just a name, or is he actually really doing it?
Denny, if I was looking at that situation, if I was an assistant coach, or if I was part of the collaboration, okay, let's just say you or I were part of that collaboration, and we're struggling to move the ball, and the reporters are saying, well, what's going on with the collaboration? As long as Jim stands up and says, listen, I'm the leader of this football team, I take responsibility for the collaboration, I think you and I would have no problem with it, as long as the leader takes responsibility. And I think he would be willing to do that. Same thing on defense. Is it Clinksdale? Is it Minter? If some reporter pinned them down, I think Jim would say, look, they're working together. That's the way I like it. And if you want to blame someone, blame me, because that's exactly what I would do if I was a head coach. And I think Jim has enough, confidence in himself in his position that he would just say, look, I'm the guy, I'm the leader. The buck always stops with the head coach.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have the titles, and I think when ultimately it comes down to it just doesn't make any sense to me to have two guys being able to make snap decisions like that. So I really think that it is one of the guys, and maybe at different times in the non-conference, maybe they fooled around with it, but that's just how I feel. I do know, like, there was a lot of focus on that co stuff, obviously with Klatt earlier in the year, but everybody was like, yeah, what's going on with the offense? But nobody said anything on the defense. But I did notice this week, I was listening to Steve Clinksdale, the co-defensive coordinator, and, he kept getting asked, because he's a defensive backs coach, corners coach, and he kept, corners. And then one of the questions from the reporters was specifically, or it was kind of a broad question about corners. And, he was kind of like, look, I'm running the defense too. Are you talking about the defense? So it was one of those things that, people don't focus on. And yet, Klink made sure that, he's like, well, what do you guys? I'm co-defensive coordinator too. He didn't say that, but I could tell that's what he was talking about. As
Danny, when I was a head coach, I had two guys that ran the offense, and one guy had the final say on play calling, and I could have really called them co-coordinators, because they devised the game plan together. They were together on everything, never a problem. But one guy did have the final say, so that was that. And the same thing, I was the head coach, but I ran the defense, but I had my main guy with me, and we discussed everything together. We devised the plan together. But again, I had the final say. I could have easily said we were co-coordinators to give him in the eyes of the community. Yeah, he's, but, and I think that's a lot of what Jim's doing, but, we don't know, but I think it's working right now. And I think he would be willing to take responsibility if there's ever a problem.
Yeah, it is working. And I do know, thinking about back to the first half and just looking on, what people are saying online and everything, like, Sharon Moore is an offensive line coach and co-offensive coordinator. So you would think, like, when they have the running game coordinator and passing game coordinator, you think that would be Weiss. And I saw people suggesting, like, they need to hire a passing coordinator, to get JJ right. And I was thinking, they have a passing coordinator already, and it's Matt Weiss. So it's one of those things, trying to tinker with things. People are always, talking about that. But I saw whoever had said that, there were a lot of people that were like with them, like, yeah, they need a passing game coordinator. Like, they got a passing game coordinator. There you go.
Hey, I think Coach Harbaugh knows how to coach quarterbacks. We've been getting good quarterback play. JJ keeps getting better. And, I feel good about that whole coaching situation.
All right. How do you feel about the rest of the Big Ten? Like, you had Tennessee going down, you had Clemson going down, you had Bama going down. But if you focus in on the Big Ten, you also had Ohio State, and it was windy in Evanston, but they struggled. There was no doubt about that against the Wildcats. What did you see from that game?
It's a weakness of what they do offensively. They need real good weather conditions because they want to throw so much. They don't give you formations. They're really, they don't give you a lot of formations. Schematically, they're not hard to defend they motion, they shift, all the things that Michigan does. They got all this different personnel group. No, Ohio State comes out for the most part with, 3 receivers and a tight end, or 4 receivers, and one back. They're really, they don't do a whole lot of different stuff. They really they need good conditions because they want to throw the ball so much. They got a good passer with great receivers. So they're going to struggle with windy conditions. And I don't think it's the best way to devise an offense, but it's obviously working for them. And it played out just like, my buddy texted me. I just got to tell you, I did make a bet. Okay. When I saw the weather conditions, and I said, this game, they're going to have scored. There was 47.5 that Ohio State's going to score 47. I had no way are they scoring 47.5 in those weather conditions. So anyway, Northwestern was able to run the football on them, which was very encouraging, because the Ohio State defense would have known, listen, they can't throw it just as much as we can't throw it. And Northwestern was able to move the ball on the ground. That was encouraging for Michigan. And, there were just a lot of things that Northwestern did defending them. They slowed their run game down. And you thought Northwestern might have had a chance to win for a minute, but everything from that game was continuing to reinforce that I think we're doing the right things offensively, because we're prepared for all conditions. And, Ohio State is a beatable football team.
All good stuff. The only thing I would say is, maybe you should have shot me a text, in the morning. Like, hey, look at the weather, pretty dicey. This is what I'm thinking about doing. That would have been helpful for me. What about Nebraska? They've lost 3 in a row. They fired Scott Frost, and, they hung in there a little bit with Minnesota over the weekend, but they, they come in, and there was one of those games before the season. People were looking and thinking, this one might be a tough one. But now they're not thinking about that. It was, a lot of course, about Illinois, who we're going to talk about in a minute. But what about Nebraska as you take a look at the Cornhuskers, coming in here with nothing to lose?
Denny, I tell you, Nebraska, preparing for Nebraska, we've seen 3 different quarterbacks, okay? The Thompson kid, the transfer from Texas, is a good passer. I saw them go against Purdue a couple weeks ago, and Purdue couldn't stop them. I think the score was like 38-35 or something. It was just Nebraska was going up and down the field, really good quarterback, good pass game, but that kid got hurt against Illinois.
Right.
And they were in that game. I think they would have won that game if this kid doesn't get hurt. But obviously he gets hurt. So then they put this Purdy kid in. He looked like, how is this kid even on scholarship?
He's strong.
Watching that game. The Smothers kid plays a little bit. But then the Purdy kid starts last week, and he actually looked pretty good. He looked better against Minnesota. So I don't know which quarterback we're going to see. And that's kind of a problem. And it gets back to why I like, the concept of 2 quarterbacks sometimes helps a team, because now we got to prepare for all the pass stuff that Thompson does. We got to prepare for the option stuff that Smothers does. And then the things that Purdy's been able to do. So defensively, we're going to have our hands full because we have to prepare for all that stuff. We don't know which guy we're going to see. And, all that Scott Frost stuff is still in. All the things that I think are hard to defend, a lot of those different option plays, and you've got to you have your defense ready for it. So, I just, again, I don't know what we're going to see, but we have to prepare for those things, and they can be difficult if you don't have a sound, defensive package.
Scar, let me ask you a coaching question, because all you coaches all say the same thing, and I hear you. There's a million analysts on Saturdays and on Sundays that will say exactly what you just said. Like, now I got to prepare for both of these guys. And now I got to spend 15 minutes taking a look at the other guy. We got to watch film on the other guy and all this. And, so you guys all say the same thing. And then when it comes down to playing a team that you're going to beat, they're like, well, we don't want to put anything on film that they can look at. Well, why wouldn't you want to put anything on film? Because then they would have to prepare for it. And then they would have to go through the tape and watch all these different things. If you put a reverse in, or if you put a different quarterback, or you put a wide receiver at quarters, just tried something different. So on one hand, you guys like, oh boy, we got to prepare for 2 quarterbacks. But on the other hand, you're like, we don't want to put anything in because then they'll be able to, know what's coming. What's the balance there?
Well, I think you're talking apples and oranges, because preparing a defense to stop a bunch of different stuff from different quarterbacks is a little different than not showing things. I think, offensively, because I think when I say I have to prepare for that defense, I have to have schemes that can stop the stuff the option guy does, that can stop the stuff what the passing guy does, and be prepared for all those different routes. And I have to know which quarterback's in the game, because this guy can't throw, but this guy runs the option. But as far as saving things offensively, I think that's a different discussion. And their defense. Listen, I think their defense. They're not the greatest athletes in the country, but they're good, tough players. I think they're going to really try to make us throw the football. They're going to do just about everybody does against Michigan. If you're playing Michigan, you better start with the power play. You better do everything and understand every formation Michigan's in. They can run that, and you better try to stop the power play, and you better try to stop the RPO stuff with JJ on the quarterback keep. Right? You got to try to stop that, the inside zone off of that. So everybody starts with the same thing against Michigan, and they're going to do everything they can to take our run game away. But we'll have answers. It's going to be cold though, Denny. It's going to be real cold. That shouldn't affect the pass game. It shouldn't have an impact really on anything. It's the wind. But Denny, mentally, this is the time of year. I remember Coach Schembechler always saying that late in the year, around like game 8, 9, we used to play 11 games. He said that's when you see upsets because you're going through the grind as a player. Your coaches are grinding, players are grinding. It's tough. I mean, our guys have been down there for 3 months now, about 12 weeks, grinding, working, practicing, meetings, grinding, getting mentally ready for games, and he would say this is the time of year you have upsets. Now, I do not think Michigan mentally is any way, shape, or form that kind of a team because I think our coaches are smart. I think we're playing a lot of kids, which makes it competitive. You better get your butt ready to play every week because we're playing a lot of bodies. And I hope we're able to play some of these backups in this game for some of these guys that are banged up, because I think Scooney looks like he's banged up. They were taking him out of the game. I hope we can play some of these backups and get them even more repetitions, get some more reps for those young tight ends. But we will be mentally ready. I'm glad these last 2 games are at home before we got to go to Columbus because, just from that mental standpoint, we're not taking anything lightly because Nebraska, they got guys on scholarship and they have good players. We got to be ready to go.
Michigan a 29.5-point favorite, and they do have the next 2 games at home. Nebraska coming up this Saturday. It is a 3:30 start, and then it'll be the home finale against Illinois, and everybody was like, "Ooh, watch out for Bielema," and everybody with Fighting Illini. But State walked down there and smacked them upside the head in Champaign this past weekend. What do you see from the Fighting Illini if we look ahead to the home finale?
Yeah, I don't see that as no big upset because Michigan State has really, really good players. They got 2 of the best receivers in the Big Ten. They got a good quarterback that can run around and make plays. He's been around. They got 2 good running backs, and their defensive coach is smart. I was really impressed with their Michigan State's defensive coach because he had a lot of guys out, and he made adjustments. He had different players in there. And, Illinois is winning they don't beat themselves. They don't have great players. They got a decent quarterback run around, good running back. But Illinois doesn't beat themselves. They don't have all the penalties. They got a little run game. They stop the run. They're well coached, and they're just really, really well coached, and they don't beat themselves. So that was not a huge upset in my eyes from that standpoint because Michigan State has players, man. So, but Illinois will be a game. We got them next week, the following week. So, let's just play smart, secure the ball. We got better players. We got them at home. Senior day. We're things are playing out nice. I like the schedule as we finish things off here.
Well, what's playing out nice is your pick of the week. And, so we're going into week 10, actually week 11, if you look at it. And with week 0, you had one on. You've only got a couple losses, Scar. I think you.
Yeah, I lost. I didn't want to tell you how hot I was this past weekend, but one of the only losers I had was Indiana. It was a dumb pick. Because Indiana they can't move the ball. They don't have a run game, and Penn State just made them one-dimensional. And then Indiana started a new quarterback for this game. But anyway, I like Army this week. I like Army. They're playing a team that hasn't defended them. They're playing I can't remember who the heck. I like Army getting 9. They're playing. Oh God, you look it up. Getting 9, a team that has not defended them and has no record of defending them. And anytime you get an academy team playing somebody that you just don't know if they can defend them or not. They're playing Troy. Troy is who they're playing.
Troy. Okay.
Yeah, so I like Army getting 9 against Troy, okay, because Troy has not – they don't have a record of defending an academy school. And Army's one of them teams. If the guy hasn't shown me in the past that he can defend the academies, I like taking the academy. So that's my pick. Army getting 9 points.
3:30 game. So I just saw that one. Army and Troy. All right. Well, that gets us to a chance to break down some games, right?
All right. Let's take a look. You got me up here, Denny?
Well, I certainly do. There it is.
Okay, here we go. 3rd and 7. This is one of their early drives. And let's get where are we at here? Let's get this thing where I would get it.
Got some fog or some residue from some fireworks right off the bat.
Okay, so here we go. This is our first play of the football game. Okay, and I just like this because, again, these guys are loading up. Here's our tight ends over here. And I just like the courageous, we are not a grind it, we are we are hard to predict. So come out slinging, zone boot. We run the zone over here all day long. So let's see how we do here. And this stuff has to be good, Danny, because I've talked about this at times, must have a great fake from the quarterback. Okay, if we show it back, he's showing the ball, show the ball, let him see it, and then put it in his gut. And now these guys are all sitting tight. They all got to sit tight. They don't know if it's a run over here. They don't know that yet. So we're holding these people tight for a second. And all of that helps. All of that helps. Now when we pull it out of here, they're a little slow to get back. Okay? So the fake it matters. Quarterbacks, Jim played the darn position. He understands it. Let's have great fake by our quarterbacks. And because I know as a defensive coach, I used to have to get on my offense guys at my offensive coaches that, look, man, we got to fix. So here we go. This is this 3rd and 8 now. And Rutgers, man, he does a lot of things, slanting and stunting. He does a good job, Schiano. And this is a 3rd and 8, big play on this first drive. He's bringing people. Our line picks up, but he's got to use his legs. So this stuff is just, again, good stuff by JJ because he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys up. 7 up. He does a lot of the same things we do. Who's coming, who's dropping, who's slanting, who's stunning. And for the most part, we picked it up. But this is what separates it, man. This is what separates JJ. This is why we're going to win another Big Ten championship. Mm-hmm. Little things like that, man. You can't coach it. Got to keep him healthy. Let's see here. Power play, great read, number 7. Okay, people know we're running the power play. Okay, and he knows it. Rutgers knows it, and they're going to do some different. And you know it, but I'll tell you, Donovan Edwards had one of his best games, in my opinion, because he made here. Let's take a look. The play is supposed to hit out here. Okay, because we've been running this play for our viewers. This play. Okay, it's supposed to hit out here, right? We've been kicking out. He's been coming in doing this, but Rutgers defends it differently. They get a linebacker flying in there, and now Donovan sees it, he feels it, and he cuts it back because you just don't know how people are going to defend you. And he's got this linebacker flying in here. This guy right here, that was part of Schiano's scheme. He said, we're going to bring the linebacker underneath and try to make the play underneath and blow up these guards and these guys pulling. But Donovan feels it. And, some of that stuff, you just have to do it through repetition, knowing what are my options on power play? How are they defending it? But that was a great job by him. Great job seeing the blocking scheme, seeing what Rutgers was doing, caving the left side in. 18. This is the young freshman in here. This kid's getting better. He's getting a lot of playing time. So we got 3rd and 2. Let's see. Let's see if we can convert 3rd and 2. And we're just getting a ton of movement here, putting their defensive line on roller skates. I mean, look at how we move this kid right here. This guy right here, Denny. We're going to shove him into the into the end zone, and that's just great technique. First down, Michigan. So those are the things I like to look at early. You know, Denny, when a game is, I want to look at the line of scrimmage. Okay, now here we go. 4th. We ran a couple plays in there, and they slowed us down. Okay, and we've been blocking down from right to left. And this time we make a little adjustment, and Corum and our coaches saw something in here. I didn't want to show you the other 3 plays prior to this, but we made a little adjustment, and they saw some daylight right in through here, and we block it a little different. We block down from left to right this time, and and there's something in there. So I thought our coaches did a good job changing what they were doing the 3 prior plays, and there's some daylight in there, and our coaches and Corum found it. So I thought, again, that's good adjusting, good coaching.
7 straight runs down there in the red zone. 1 for 1, touchdown.
Here's 3rd and 7, one of their early drives, and I thought this was a great scheme, but we make a mistake here, and I just want to point it out because we can't do this against the Buckeyes. And we've done this a couple times, and one of the reasons I didn't like bringing safeties and corners a lot as a coach, because they don't get enough work on containing quarterbacks sometimes in practice. But we show, so we got 5 out here, we got 6 at the line of scrimmage, 3rd and 7, kind of the stuff Rutgers was just doing to us. Who's coming, who's dropping, what's going on. They don't know, but we end up bringing a safety, and we lose contain. And I just don't like seeing it. We got to know that the quarterback can run. This is on Sanistril. He's got to be better. I mean, we get him stopped here. He throws it up in the, he's uncatchable ball. But I just don't like seeing it. We got to correct it. And because, again, we got to keep getting ready for the Buckeyes. Can't lose contain. You lose contain, bad things happen. Right. I like this here, Denny. I saw a great block by our center. This kid is a good offensive lineman. Glad Coach Harbaugh find him. And again, seven playing physical. Touch 55, how he fishes this block. See, Danny, when you're playing defensive line, you're most susceptible to getting launched. And when I say launch, getting put on your back, because you're fighting the block. And the man is blocking you, and you're fighting. But as soon as you try to come off and make the play, that's when you lose some of your base, and you'll see that's when he gets end up put on his back. But Donovan knocks it through there, and I thought that was a good physical run by Donovan. You see that again? Anyway, good physical run by Donovan. Nice block by our center. A lot of good stuff there. Converting first downs. Okay, we're going to look at the punt. Did I show? Yeah, let's get to the punt. Okay, here we go on the punt. Now, you want to be, the number one thing you got to do is get a great snap, and protect. You want to protect the line of scrimmage first, and then get coverage. Okay, you got to make sure they don't block the punt first. Okay, a lot of teams will have a gunner here and a gunner here. Okay, 2 gunners. But Michigan likes to sometimes put a 3rd guy right here. Okay, and this gives you better coverage. There's an advantage of it. It gives you better coverage. So, but the weakness of it is now they got 7 dudes up here. They got 4 over here. We got a guy and a guy and a guy. We got 3 guys over here. They got 4. We got a long snapper and 3 guys over here. Okay. 1, 2, 3 over here and a long snapper. So we have 6. They got 7. And a long snapper, you're going to try to ask him to block. So I don't like this at all. Trying to block this with this. What we always have one guy on your punt team that is responsible for saying, look, come on in. Just like an offense makes adjustments, you got one player on your punt protection that will make that call. So I would have brought him in. I would have made the coaches see it, and obviously they thought we were okay with it. They didn't ask him to bring him in, so I don't like it. I would have brought him in, and we're not. I just don't like it from this standpoint over here. And I think because this guy here is going to come all the way here, and block the punt from the outside. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Number one, I would have brought this guy in. Okay. So that's on the coaches, or it's on this player here, whoever is responsible for making that call. The second thing is the snap's got to be quicker. The punter's got to be quicker. I kind of question, he kind of takes a little stutter step, 3.5 steps. I thought it was a little long. We're going to take a look at it. And then a lot of it could have been on Barrett, like Jake was saying in the booth, to try to feel this. But let's take a look at it. And it just takes too long. And it's not blocked right. Barrett's got to try to feel it. But I put it on the punter. I put it on the snapper. I put it on the scheme. I put it on the coaches. It's a mess all the way around. And I sure as hell wouldn't take a chance worrying about getting that extra covered. But the thing now that you have to focus on, because I talked about this, that 80% of the time when the team has a punt blocked, they usually lose the game. So here we are. They're celebrating. They just tied the game. Their fans are going crazy. Their stadium has energy now. And you're on the road. It's a night game. And, where are you mentally? I just wanted to put it in there because I think, these guys are celebrating. It can be intimidating if you're mentally weak. But what are your thoughts on that, Denny?
Yeah, as many times as they sit around practicing, the different punts, and you see guys try to get in there, and they're really close. But on that one, obviously there had to be a breakdown because he comes clean, through there, and he's able to get it. And,
yeah, but then at the same time, it's hard to block. If you're going to ask your center to block, you got. It's not like snapping the ball in a shotgun. When the quarterback's 4 yards behind you. This is a whole different deal. He's got to have his head down. He has to follow through, and now he's blocking somebody. I just would have brought the extra guy in and be fine with 2 gunners. But again, I just talked about where are you mentally? Schiano is this is a great call by him, a gutsy good call. Woo, but I really liked how Michigan. No one is bailed. Okay, the kicker is just now. I marked it here. He's just made contact with the ball. But every one of these Michigan guys is sitting here right at the line of scrimmage. They haven't bailed out because they got to get blocks right after the ball is kicked. They got to get downfield and get blocks. So a lot of times you'll have guys bailing out of there, but no one is bailed. He should have been up here a little more. But I thought this was discipline, really good sign of coaching. I'll take it back from the beginning, and we can look at it. But these guys are sitting tight, and now we get on this football, and that's a great job by our kick return team. We work on that stuff. So as bad as our punt team was, that's a good job by our kick return. Okay, here's one of the adjustments for power that we did for this team. And we'll see it a couple times, but they're playing it a little differently. They're playing this guy outside of our tight end. So we really couldn't block down on him. We block out on him, then we lead, and we only pulled one. Well, we're leading. Yeah, we're just leading. We're just pulling the one guard here. Again, sometimes in core makes a lot happen here out of our adjustment. So it was an adjustment to the blocking scheme, and we get some good blocking there. I just wanted to point that out because the play really was initiated from a little tweak in the adjustment. So I just thought this was encouraging. So we go from, they block a punt. The fans are going crazy. They're celebrating. It can be intimidating. If you're mentally weak, it can be intimidating. So after a punt block, we just drive it and take it right down. And I just thought JJ showed a little toughness here. It's 4th and 1 here. And these guys play good goal line defense. And we get movement. And it stopped for a second, and you get a better look later. But JJ found a way to get it in there. He's a tough kid too. He can go it and run it. And let's see if it shows the other. I just like the fight here, finding a way to get in. I like tough from my quarterback. Here's the push, separation. I mean, these guys, how long, we just keep, that's all they had. That's all Michigan State had. This is, one of their complete pass to the big kid. They got it. The coach, the refs got to call this, man. That little bit of separation there, see that right there, Denny?
Yeah.
They don't, that's how many times are they going to get away with that against Michigan? He's pushing.
They're getting away with that. That's football right now. I mean, I watch every NFL game, 9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10 receivers are doing that, or 9 out of 10 of them are getting called. They call it once in a while, but not very often. So I would do it too.
Yeah, I get it. It's just frustrating.
Sure.
We got to teach our DBs to be more physical. It's frustrating. Okay, here's a 4-man pressure. We bring 3 edge players in the game. Here's Oki, here's Upshaw, and here's Morris, and then here's Big. So we got three quicker guys in the game. This is where we want to get them, 3rd and 10. So we're getting some pressure, 90, 91, get home with 4 guys. This is encouraging. Meet at the quarterback. Upshaw beats his guy. Morris takes an inside go. But it looks like we had, we have a plan for his inside go. It looks like Barrett is in a position here. And that's really good to get pressure with 4. So celebrate. Find your teammate. Good. I guess we didn't get it. But here's the adjustment. Power adjust, conflict for defense. We were doing some different things. We could have blocked down here. I don't know if it's this the young tight end. I don't know if they think he's physical enough to block this kid. Why they made this adjustment. But he's going to block out, and then we're going to kick this guy out. So this is a little adjustment for our power play because we haven't blocked it like this year. But again, this is a sign of a good team. So now we put this guy in conflict. We're not blocking down on him like we've been doing for the last 3 or 4 games. We're going to block this guy, and now we're going to kick him out. And we're going to lead the other guy through on a backer. We're going to kick him out here. So this was a little tweak to the scheme to mess with these guys and put them in conflict. Get a nice kick out. Tight end leads through. And that's the young Bredesen getting better as a blocker. So, yeah, this was and there's Donovan in there running more physical. He ain't tippy-toeing. Get through there.
Yeah, Bredesen must be doing a nice job in practice because we knew that he could catch the ball, but heck, he was the one that they gave down on the goal line. They gave him a carry too, so he must be showing some stuff.
Yeah,
in practice.
Yeah, I kind of question that. Obviously, they better work a lot of reps with it. I don't like giving the ball to the guys unless you have a lot of reps at it. But again, like this is
I don't
Rutgers.
like giving it to the up back, but hey,
yeah,
that's Harbaugh.
Rutgers.
He likes
Shiano does a good job with stunting. I've watched him over the years, and he's good at doing these things. I just want to point out they got good coaches too. Sometimes a play doesn't work. It's not that our guys were bad. They're good, man. One of the biggest reasons we beat OSU last year was tackle in space. Tackle in space. We got him 3rd and 8, Denny. And this is the young freshman. He's been pretty good. This is one of his worst plays of the game. And it ends up being a big play. We got to tackle in space. He gets a good break. Tackle him right there. Because now we're punting the ball.
2 missed tackles.
But it's you get the guy in space. This is what we got to do against the Buckeyes, man. We got to get him on the ground right there. And it's a great effort by Moore. We get a chance. We hold him to a field goal. But I just wanted to point it out how important that is. I'm trying to figure out why they were able to get this touchdown here. And actually, they score a touchdown. It's 4th down here. It's 4th and 3, or how they were able to convert this. It's 4th and 3. Pick people run behind because it works hard to defend. Oh, this is the pick play here, Denny. This is what LSU ran to beat Alabama on the 2-point conversion. And we just do a bad job down here. Same guy, Johnson. They got to feel this thing, man. And it's really hard. It's very hard as a player. But I think we were thinking as coaches, quarterback run here because we got 7 guys in here, close to the line of scrimmage. And I think our coaches didn't think they had the faith to let this kid throw the football. but they run the pick down here, and Johnson's got to come off this thing. He's got to come off it quicker, like we've done in the past, but it just doesn't happen. And they make a play. So we got to do better at that. I thought we did here's a different little scheme here. They get an under route, 3rd and 10. I was frustrated with this. I don't know how our linebackers are dropping so deep here. I don't know how they're coaching this. You know, I would if I'm coaching this linebacker has got to feel this a little more. He's got to feel this crosser, and I don't understand why these guys are dropping so deep. I just would have had Junior here feel this and try to make this play here. You know, recognize you got to have your eyes on a swivel on these crossing patterns, and he keeps drifting, because he's not in man coverage, he's in zone coverage. So I don't understand that. And then we let him get the first down. So I that was Barrett there. I don't understand it. So whatever. We just hopefully these coaches will get it figured out. First start, good job. I thought this kid did a good job. This is Percy in here. I just want to point him out. And here's empty formation, Denny, 2nd and 10. We got 7 out here. People are worried about that. And is Donovan Edwards out here? And this is a problem. They got to figure out who they're going to try to put on this kid, because Michigan likes to throw it to him. And bam, there we go. That's easy, man. And he's got great hands. And again, I just wanted to point out Percy here. Kid moves his feet well, picked that little stunt. So I feel good about Percy in there. There's not a big drop-off with him and Hayes. Here we go again now. 3rd and 6, same formation, Denny. Empty formation. Michigan liked what we saw out here. JJ likes it. Throws a nice pass. Little window there, not a huge window. And JJ throws a dime right there. Kid was covered pretty decently. And JJ puts it right on the money. Good job.
Not a lot of backs making that catch. Go ahead.
Yeah. It was a good catch, and it was a good throw. It wasn't a huge window, but it was executed. Here we got 7 guys up. This is one back. We got him 2nd and 14. This is now we're in the second half. And we scored, but now here what do we do? What does Michigan do here with 7 guys up? We do a lot of different things, okay? And it could be man, it could be zone, we don't know. But now get into a zone drop, and this kid doesn't see it. There's the young guy. That's the young quarterback. He's playing like a young guy there. Barrett it's just a vanilla drop. He's done 1,000 times. We're playing 4 under here. You know what I mean by 4 under, Denny? This is a basic. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys playing, the short routes, and we got 3 deep. So this is 4 under, 3 deep zone coverage. It's a vanilla. Everybody runs it forever, and he just gets in front of that thing, and and Barrett can run the football. Good looking athlete.
Yeah,
let's celebrate together. There we go. That's what we want to do. Now go get the picture and celebrate. I like this play. We ran it a lot against Iowa, and we haven't seen it in a couple weeks. And I think the coaches have their reasons why. Against Rutgers, they wanted to run it, but here's Scooney now. He goes in motion. I call it the isolation play. He's going to lead up in there like a fullback. We haven't ran it in a couple weeks, but I like it. It's a good physical play. When we rip it right in there. Scooney's a heck of a good blocker on this play. And we get a good job by Percy here. The whole line, we just open it, but we open it up. Linebacker don't want no part of 6'6", 265 pounds. So that was well blocked. Okay, here's the next interception. We get good pressure. I thought maybe we deflected it, but we didn't. But it could have been a factor as to why he rushed it. Let's take a look. We get some good pressure out of 4 guys. Oki has them step up. Oki forces them to step up in the pocket a little bit. Morris is right here at the last second. Quarterbacks feel that. And here's Michael Barrett again. Let's get a block. Don't clip. Good job. Guys are blocking.
There, right? The 4 under.
Let's see what we're doing here. Let's see what we're playing here. Let's see. We're rushing 4. Yeah, looks like a zone again. That's 4. It looks like zone coverage, 4 under. Yeah, because he's drifting. You see how this guy's drifting this time a little bit? He's not sucking in on that. This is 4 under, 3 deep. Yeah, that's what this is. Okay, that's a zone coverage, Denny. You got it. But everybody's blocking. We work on it. We coach on it. We celebrate as a team. That's what we do. We coach that stuff up. Good job.
Ball game.
Okay, and here's the next interception. Well, this is this is the next interception. So
Will the thrill here, yeah.
Well, okay, here we go again now. We're throwing stuff at them. 2nd and 12. We're making them think. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up. Could be 7. A lot of stuff, different stuff. They got 4 receivers in the game, 1 back. What are we doing? What's Michigan doing? Rushing, coming. But again, it looks like we're dropping into this 4 under, 3 deep. So here, you know what I like too, Denny? We got some young guys in the game. I mean, here's the 3rd quarter yet, and we got 99 good in the game, and we got Grant. Both these guys are getting better, and I like seeing the young guys in the game, rest some of them older guys, and develop these guys. But we pop into a zone, same thing. Looks like 4 under, 3 deep, but we've been throwing the fade to that big kid, right? Man coverage, right?
Yeah.
Right, Danny? You know what I mean? We've been throwing that and getting the push off and no call. So now we say, screw you. We're going to run zone, 2nd and 12. He's bailing out of there. He's got help underneath, so he knows how to play it. And now here's a big thing. When I played, coaches used to talk about, you better find that quarterback, get a hit on the quarterback.
Yeah.
As soon as you get that interception. But the referees are really emphasizing that because, everybody wants to get a shot on the quarterback. So you got to get a block, but you can't do that anymore. You can't be looking to gleek the quarterback because you'll get a penalty and have problems. So
or blindside guys, they look for that now too. They don't want
they look for all that stuff. And but get a block. That's good. We got 3 picks. Get some turnovers. Protection. JJ dying to Kojo. I thought again, great protection because Shiano does a good job with all his stunning and all his stuff. He does a good job with it. And we get Kojo does a little shake and bake and beats him on the inside. Small window, puts it in there. So good job, good protection. I wanted to point that out. Good to see Cornelius making a catch.
5 for 5.
Here we are.
Red zone for touchdowns. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to throw it sometimes. You hate to have to do that, but you just can't pound it in there all day. So here we go, 1st and 10. JJ's still in the game, 4th quarter. It's a couple things. Outside release. Again, we've shown this. It widens this kid. We're going to take an outside release here. Adjust for Rutgers. This is the big run by Donovan. Again, we showed it. We're going to show it. We're going to run it again. We block it the same way. But, Denny, sometimes what teams will do, and I don't know if Keegan was hurt here. I know as a coach, you got some certain players that are certain offensive linemen that are better at doing certain things. Some guys are really good trappers. Al Hadi is a good trapper. So 58's in the game now, and he's a good athletic kid. I don't know if we snuck him in the game to run this trap, or was it just something they made wanted to make a substitution? But a lot of times coaches will do that, bring certain players in because they're better at blocking certain plays. So we run this play, we kick them out, and we get another, but that's our power play, and we're running it, blocking it a little different. Okay, we're taking an outside release. So what that does is it widens this guy because he doesn't know what's happening when he takes that first step on an outside release. He doesn't know if he's blocking him or not. So it widens this guy, okay, which makes this block easier for him because you've widened him. Okay, we put this guy in conflict is what we're doing. So now but he does a good job squeezing. I mean, that play is blocked beautifully, man. I just love the way that play is blocked. Donovan's untouched. Great job blocking. And a great job by Donovan. It was, coaches made a little tweak to what we wanted to do against them. So good stuff there. Let's see what we got here. Here's 2 and 2 here, receiver. So we're spreading them out. I don't know, this is good to see Davis Warren in the game. No substitute for speed. I want a guy that can run, Danny. I want a quarterback that can run. He gets a little pressure, nothing there. He's got some athletic ability. He can make some plays with his legs. So that was good to see that. Young guys, moving dudes. I like seeing it. We're moving guys. We got to find out who our third back is. This is
so that's Tavier Dunlap.
Yeah, Dunlap in there. So, who's going to secure the ball? Who's going to pass protect? But we're moving guys in here. I like seeing the young guys get the reps, receivers blocking. That was encouraging. And the young guys build confidence. TD Michigan drove it right down with a whole young offensive line, young quarterback. And we move these guys. Look at this pile, moving dudes. That's great. I like seeing that. That gives them confidence. That gives the coaches confidence. That gives the Michigan fans confidence. Look at how we're young. These are all young guys. This is what we got coming back. So that's good to see that.
Yeah.
I like seeing this too. These are two freshman linebackers, Danny Pollard and Rolder. They're in the game. These are all young guys in the game now. So we're up 52-17, but I wanted to take a good look at these, what's in the game for us. And I'm impressed with these young linebackers. They've improved. You can tell they've improved from early in the year, when they were getting reps against Hawaii. And they're just better players, man. Improved. We're week 10 now, so let's see what we got here. 4th and 1. You know what, Dan? See how smart they are. You know what you do as coaches? Our coaches would do this, Danny. Even though it's 52-17, and you're in the game, you're a young guy in the game. The coaches, they might call a complex defense. They might not call a vanilla defensive scheme because they want to see how smart these guys are and how they're going to react in game conditions. So we run a little stunt here, and Rooks play. He slants in there. And Polder cleans it up. But I just want you to understand how coaches think sometimes. And again, it was nice to see Rooks make a little slant in there, stunt, makes a play. And I like to see that. Here's the last play of the game. Bring on the Huskers.
Victory formation.
That's it. That's a great play right there. So yeah, it was a lot of good things. A lot of young guys played, and you could see the improvement from the Hawaii, Connecticut time. And this Rutgers guys were better than the Connecticut guys. So that was good to see our young guys take it right down, score a touchdown. Our young defensive guys did some good things. There's a lot there to be confident for the Michigan future.
Yeah, that was a good job, Scar. And you probably know that we've got basketball opening up tonight. Michigan versus Purdue, Fort Wayne. It's a 6:30 tip. Beyond after the game, Michigan basketball postgame live right here on the Maize and Blue review. So don't forget that. I like football, but I like basketball too. Football, basketball. Let's go. Let's do it. Good job, Scar.
Yeah, hey, good. We're rolling. Things are good. We got Michigan hoops tonight. I'll be tuning in. Everything's looking positive. Just stay confident. Let's move forward. One day at a time. Have a great practice today. One day at a time. That's what them coaches are preaching, man. Let's win today.
All right, Scar. Great job. We'll talk with you on Saturday after the game.
All right, go Blue.